All right, Streams of Light podcast. I'm Chris Anthony here. I've got a special treat for you today. I've got a friend who I met, it was about a year and a half ago. Met him back at a grocery store in Encinitas, and his name is Robert Bejar. And we had a great conversation out in front of the grocery store. And as I began to speak to him, I realized that he had a great story to share. And I want to bring him in. And we're going to talk a little bit about what happened in his life, because we had this conversation out in front of Lazy Acres in Encinitas. And man, I was just so touched by it. Robert, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. We had this conversation, as I was saying, and we talked a lot about what had happened in his life. He had a motorcycle accident in 1976, but we began to talk about all things health and wellness and attitude and all that, and just thought this would be a great opportunity to just kind of like go back to that day that we met at the grocery store and kind of retrace our steps, because man, I was just really encouraged by our conversation. So why don't you just start with a little introduction and give us an idea of who you are, where you're from, and what your life's all about.
Who I am? I'm a native Californian, believe it or not, which is kind of cool. But I was raised. I left California early in life, and was raised in a small mining town in the mountains of Arizona, which was just fantastic. If you've ever seen the movie Stand By Me,
Is that Bisbee, Arizona, you're about to say?
no, Miami, Arizona.
Oh, okay.
There is a Miami, Arizona.
Okay.
It's about 130 miles east of Phoenix, up in the mountains. So I grew up with all four seasons. I grew up with basically outdoors. I never liked to be home. I was always out playing or running around or whatever. And then I ended up moving to California about after college, and I've been here ever since. And I'm not going anywhere.
That's
I love
awesome.
this state. I love being here. I'm looking out my front slider, and I got a great ocean view. I got great friends. I'm blessed. I'm blessed
Yes.
beyond. I'm just so. Every morning, I just roll up in bed and say, "Thanks for keeping me here, because I'm still here, and I shouldn't
Yeah.
even be here. You
Oh,
should be talking to. You should be talking to thin air." So
yeah.
that's.
But before we get into the motorcycle accident and all that, what a cool morning to have. I don't know about down in San Diego County, but up here in Orange County, just the light rain. Doesn't that feel good? Just to have a little rain and a little change here.
It was good. I woke up this morning, and my third umbrella flew off my patio. So there was a little gust of wind,
Okay.
which is okay. It means I have to know. But yeah, clean, fresh. I walked down to the beach earlier today. Waves are pounding. Kids are playing in the water, and it's a great place to be.
Surf is definitely up, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
All right. So let's go back to 1976 and talk a little bit about the motorcycle accident and kind of what took place that day.
I'd been out to dinner with my family and left the restaurant on my brother's motorcycle. Went to my apartment there in Tempe, Arizona. I was going to Arizona State, and said, "Hey, want to go for a ride?" So I grabbed one of my roommates, and it was a beautiful night, summer night, just local roads, no traffic. And going down a road I've been down probably 1,000 times, and I'm on asphalt, and the asphalt then turned to gravel, and quickly turned to rock and sand. And as my headlights hit this mound of dirt across the road, I realized I gotta do something here, and I ended up turning the motorcycle to the left because I was gonna just kind of jump and roll. My roommate, she just tucked and rolled and stood up and then saw me. I had hit a rock. My head hit a rock and just crushed my skull. And in that time period, I checked out. I remember seeing a big bright light, and some people thought that I had seen the moon, which it wasn't the moon, because later on at the hospital they had to wash sand and dirt out of my eyes. So I see this big bright light, and I was like, "Whoa, what's going on?" So as my vision began to turn to my left, I I saw some images of my life. And as I turned 180, I looked down on the ground and I saw my body uh, curled up like a shrimp, I guess, uh, and blood pooling around my head. And I thought, okay, well, I guess this is it. And as I'm turning back to go to the light, about halfway through, I heard my mother's voice behind me calling my name very quietly, you know, Bobby, Bobby. And at that moment, I realized that what I thought to myself was, oh, I'm dying, and I'm okay with this.
Hmm.
Very peaceful, no pain, but I didn't die. Then I remember hearing a sound, and the sound was the EMTs putting a piece of plywood under my body, lifting me up and putting me in the ambulance. And after that, I don't remember much. I remember sort of the lights of the ER, over my eyelids. I remember the doctor shaving my head. I remember getting a few shots of lidocaine on my skull, and then I was out until they rolled me out of the surgery.
Let's go.
And
Oh, okay, go ahead. Sorry to
no,
interrupt.
and so anyway, that's a good start.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the first thing that stands out to me was the the fact that you said you realized you were dying and you were okay with it.
Absolutely, I have no fear of death, Chris. I'm not afraid of dying. I just don't want to be eaten alive.
Yeah.
I don't want a shark, a
Yeah.
tiger, whatever.
Yeah.
That's okay. Anything else
Yeah.
I'm fine with.
Yeah.
I
I
just don't
mean,
want to be eaten.
that's something to, I mean, that's something to, consider is, a lot of us are afraid of the pain associated with death. And that there's a differentiation between being afraid of the pain that comes with death and death itself. Because in that moment, this is what fascinates me most. And I've heard this from so many people and all the videos I've watched on NDEs. Everyone pretty much says the same thing. I will never be afraid to die after this. And that they all had, I mean, tell me how you felt. I mean, you saw your body. I mean, some people I think have had that experience and they were kind of shocked when they realized that, wow, I'm dying right now. And some people maybe felt a little, unsure of that, but you saw yourself and you realized, wow, I'm dying, but I'm okay with that.
It's okay. It just doesn't bother me. I know one day from way down the road, because I'm going to be here a long time. I will pass away, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to really die. In my world, I'm going to be living forever because that's my faith.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, I have no fear of death.
How long are you going to live for? Just so we know for the record.
145
Okay. Okay.
minimum. Yeah.
Yeah.
Science is on my side. I take good care of myself.
That's right.
I'm a personal fitness trainer. I've done all this fun stuff in my life. I eat pretty well. I don't abuse my body, and helping others to me helps me because
Right.
altruism is just one of the healthiest things you can do for yourself.
I love that. I really love that because every time I've ever gone through a difficult time in my life where there would normally be a certain amount of depression or sadness or, that kind of emotional challenge, I've always found that if you do a 180-degree turn and stop focusing on your problems and start helping other people, it's one of the greatest antidotes in life. And I love that fact that you touched on that.
It goes away. I mean, when you take the focus off yourself, if you always wake up in the morning, oh, you sound like Eeyore, oh, I feel bad. I have a friend who's kind of like that. Love her to death, but she's kind of like, how you doing? I'm okay. So I lift her up very quickly because I'm also a motivational speaker. I've done that for a private college, a couple of organizations. So I go in and I kind of do this and help people and give them a different perspective on their lives. And the one school they have, it's a PhD program for sports psychology, and I do a motivational talk at her college. And it's exciting for me because I can help those students help their students get more out of what they're going to do. Because you know what? If you can stand up right now and walk across a room, you're in a better place than I was when I was 21.
You're blessed. Now, do you think that your experience, in that motorcycle accident, how much do you think that changed your life? Do you think you would have gone into motivational speaking? Do you think you'd have stayed more self-absorbed? I mean, or some people were already on a good path. What was your feeling on that?
I was on a really good path. I had a dance scholarship. I probably would have moved to New York had that not happened.
Hmm.
Worked on Broadway because I still sing professionally. I've been doing that since I first arrived in San Diego. Well, I started doing that when I was a kid. I was in a rock and roll band in high school.
Hmm.
It was so much fun. But I probably would have made that path eventually. I think the motorcycle accident just sort of moved me up to the front of that line to
Right.
do the things I need to do because the reality was so stark. It's like, wow, I'm starting over here.
Right.
Yeah,
I
and
think
that's okay.
I think the one bottom line is people that go through that experience think, okay, what is it I really want to do? And let's get to it. I mean, doesn't it sort of awaken you to that? I mean, like the time is now. I mean, today's the day. Today's the day to do the things that you want to do,
Yes, sir.
and,
Yes, sir.
and enjoy it
Uh,
while you're doing it. I mean, you all the things you've chosen sound so enjoyable to me.
well, about 7 years ago, 8 years ago, I started taking some photographs, and I ended up having doing art. So I've sold 111 pieces of art. They're all over the world. They're in Malibu, Arizona, Stockholm, Sweden. They're in Europe, and it's iPhone photography. And I have a book. I did a little Shutterfly book, and the title is "There You Are," because no matter where you go, there you are.
Yeah,
That's my axiom for life.
I love
So
that. I love that.
yeah, yeah. So if you sell, I tell people, well, one day I will. I said that one day's now, because let's say I have a friend who has 2 years to live. She has terminal cancer. You'd
Mm,
never know it. You would never know it. So when I'm a holistic health practitioner, so I've been doing massage therapy forever. I love what I do. I love helping people, and so when I touch her, I can feel her joy, even aside from the fact that she knows she's dying in a very short period of
right.
time. But if we all knew, because if you knew you had about 3 weeks to live, what would you do?
I think I keep doing what I'm doing now because I mean, I've come to that realization. I mean, obviously you might spend a little more time talking to your kids or the things that you want to get through before you leave, but I mean, it's a beautiful thing to think about your friend who has that joy when she knows her time is short, but I mean, let's face it, we're all running from the truth for the most part that we're in the same line, and whether we're ahead of her or behind her, it doesn't really matter. I mean, we're in that line. Our day is coming. So,
Yeah,
but that's okay. I mean,
yeah,
death is just as much a part of life as life is. I mean, and that's something that, I think, you know, we sometimes we look at things from such a dualistic perspective, like, this is good, this is bad. And there's definitely a beauty in death, especially, I mean, I've seen both of my parents die,
yeah,
and it's a hard thing to see your parents die, but I've also learned that there can be beauty and grace in death, and that death doesn't have to be fought in a kind of thrashing, fearful way, but death can actually be something that can be, once the time comes, it can be accepted with grace, and it can actually be a beautiful thing. I mean, after all, you're passing. I mean, when you were there that day on the ground and you saw the light, I mean, how did that light make you feel?
peaceful. I felt like I I felt no pain. I felt no anxiety. I felt no fear. I just knew that that's death, and I'm okay with it because I know I'm moving on. It's not the end. For some people, they might feel it as the end. That's unfortunate.
Yeah,
I think it's just the beginning.
just the beginning.
Yes, sir.
A great chapter lies ahead, and I do feel like what we're doing here somehow contributes also to our existence there. And not, I know a lot of the organized religions have really picked up on that and talked a lot about, karma and sowing and reaping. Not that those things aren't real, but a lot of times there's a negative spin on that. But I really like to look at it from a positive perspective of, if we're doing things for other people now, if we're giving, we're creating, something within our own soul that we take with us. Obviously we can't take our possessions with us,
A lot of people would like to.
Yeah.
I love my car. I can't take my car. Whatever, right? But I'm Christian, so I know that what's on the other side, and I fall on my face every day, and I just ask for forgiveness.
Yeah.
And it's just, that's what it's all about. And you forgive yourself, you forgive those around you. And ask yourself this question, because I love asking people, what do you think the world would be like if everybody was a lot like you? What would the world be like?
Hmm.
From my perspective, it would be a hell of a lot nicer.
Yeah.
And people would be a lot more compassionate and a lot more patient. You're on the freeway, someone cuts you off. That's a husband driving fast because his wife was in the seat next to him, giving birth.
Yeah.
You never know what someone else is going through. You see
Right.
I was with a friend one time when this heavy woman's jogging down the street. He's making fun of her. I said, "What is wrong with you? That woman just might have had a liver transplant and she's on prednisone and she's pumped up to high heaven, but she's out there taking care of business. Shame on you. Don't do that."
Yeah.
Because after that accident, I gained a lot of weight. I had 120 stitches in my face and my head.
Mm.
I was not a pretty sight, Chris.
Yeah.
People made fun of me. I didn't say anything. I thought to myself, I will never, ever make fun of anybody.
Yeah.
Ever. It's not the right thing to do.
It's hard to understand sometimes until we're on, the other end of the spectrum. Like you said, like someone's in the car and they're in a hurry, and it may just be that someone's being a jerk, but at the same time, yeah, the reality is they could be going to the hospital. They could have got a bad call. They might think they're losing their job, even though they're not, but they're in a hurry to get to work. I mean, these things happen. But yeah, when and I was thinking about that. Like, I think the traffic situation in the road rage and all that is a really great test of like where we're at, on the inside in our inner life, our spiritual life. Because, I mean, as much as I would like to not get upset sometimes I just do, and
yeah, that can happen.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the real big question is how can we get to the place where when someone cuts us off or whatever, that we don't just, sort of react and have that sort of negative reaction. So, because it's not about necessarily reforming ourselves as much as it is as being, renewed on the inside to an extent where, we're just, much more of a happy camper than maybe we could be. So,
well, a little patience goes a long way, and attitude. I've always told my son, attitude is everything. Yeah, Dad, I said it's not. It's how you respond to a situation, in any situation, a relationship, a mishap on the freeway, uh, an overcooked dinner, whatever it is. Just let it go, because nobody died.
yeah. Yeah.
I see that all the time. Hey,
Yeah.
well, I'm late. You know what? Nobody died.
Yeah. It's so trivial. I mean, it's amazing to me the things we get caught up in that at the time they seem so important. But if we were to look back, like if you, how you saw the scenes in your life when you were laying there, if you saw if you saw the scenes where you were stressing over things that you didn't need to stress about, I mean, those aren't the kind of scenes I heard another guy's near-death experience, and he said he realized that when he had this moment sort of, when God was there, the light was there, he realized that he had never been alone, that he had always been loved deeply. And the knowledge of those two things had totally transformed his life.
Wow.
And he was actually a professor at Harvard, and he was very, he was raised in a home where he was raised with faith, but he became very atheistic. And so, those two things made him someone who was spiritual, not so much religious, in the sense of, duty, but really changed his life. So as I looked through your bio, I realized, man, you were a football guy.
Yeah, I was student body president in high school, football, captain. We won state my senior year of high school. I taught myself how to play the guitar when I was a kid. I was in a rock and roll band, and I still play the guitar. There's actually a buddy of mine from 8th grade came out to visit me not long ago and bought me a new guitar, because he's moving. We're gonna
jam.
We're gonna start the band again. Cast Iron Soul, brother.
Nice. Okay, so let's play a little game here. This just popped into my head. But if I were to ask you what you learned from, and then I gave you a list, if you could give me one statement, like, so for example, if I said, what's the most important lesson you learned from football? What would you say?
Just
I'm putting you on the spot here. I mean, I played football
I
too.
say probably don't give up.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that, I mean, in football, I mean, you get these little nicks and scrapes and, but yeah, in football teaches it kind of be tough and to be,
And well, just I dislocated my shoulder. That wasn't pretty,
yeah.
but it was. But you know what? I got back on the horse.
Yeah. And it teaches you how to learn how to manage pain.
Yeah, pretty much.
So you were in the student body.
I was student body president.
Okay. So what'd you learn from that?
Respect your position of power.
Mm.
And in today's world, that's a big one.
Yeah.
These positions of power need to be knocked down a little bit. Anyway,
what about your music, your musical experience? What would you say? What's the most important lesson you learned from being a musician?
Love what you do, because I love playing music and singing. I mean, my first job in San Diego was singing telegrams. I've done like 7,000 singing telegrams. I still do.
Wow.
I write my songs, my melodies. They're all stock melodies. Yeah, it's fun. So
yeah.
just
feel it, kind of like feel it.
Oh yeah, I love the things you do, because if you wake up in the morning and you hate your job, well then get over it and do something you love to do. Because you know what, your days are numbered. I only have 21,395 left.
Yeah.
I have them written out. Why not?
I don't know if I want to live to like what did you say, 145?
Yes, sir.
I don't know if I want to live to 145.
I'll be very, very healthy. I'll guarantee you.
Well, yeah, if you're healthy, that's the most important.
I've been sick twice in my adult life.
Yeah.
I don't get sick.
Yeah.
My mother told us in our family we wouldn't get sick. Okay, so it's a mindset. There you go.
It really is when you think about it. There's been so many times when I felt like, you feel like you're coming down with something. And you know what I noticed as I look back over those times? I noticed that there comes a point where you go, am I getting sick or not? And you kind of like surrender and you go, I'm getting sick. I can feel, you kind of you kind of touch your head and you go, wow, it feels a little warm. Your throat's a little scratchy, and you kind of give it. Well, this is something that it's amazing to me how powerful the mind is, and really how it's really a more of a creative force than sometimes we're willing to reckon it to be.
No, absolutely, yeah. And 7 out of 10 illnesses in this country stem from stress.
Yeah.
And stress, as you all know, stress can kill you.
Yeah.
So just let it go.
Yeah.
Boo-hoo, so you stubbed your toe. Boo-hoo, so you got a flat tire. Boo-hoo, nobody died.
Yeah.
Get over it.
Exactly.
And I love my friends. I love my family, but they call me for inspiration. My sister calls me. She goes, so what's going on today? Blah, 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 I mean, my friends call me and say, oh, gosh, I just had this. They actually call me for inspiration, and that's pretty doggone. That makes me feel really good.
That's really cool. You know what people, I have a similar thing. They don't call me for inspiration, but when people really need to talk about something that they feel, this is my gift. I don't know why people do, but when they feel like they can confide, they need to confide in someone, they call me. I don't know why.
It's probably why when you walk by me at Lazy Acres, I thought, oh, hi, how you doing?
Yeah, tell me your life story.
It was actually on my birthday.
Oh, that's right.
So I was pretty excited about it. It's like, okay.
That was cool. I had pulled up in my little Fiat 500 electric, and I live in Orange County, but if I go down in that electric, it doesn't get it doesn't have a real far range on the miles.
Yeah.
So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll go down and Lazy Acres is a nice little, plug-in spot to recharge and maybe I love their salad bar before, when they had salad bars. And that was, oh man. And yeah, and you said, hey, you were like, happy birthday to me. It's my birthday.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I said to you, I asked you how old you were and you told me, and I was like, man, dude, you do. That's the one thing, the one thing I want to get across to everyone listening right now is when I saw Robert the first time and he told me it was his birthday, and I guess if it's a girl, you're not supposed to ask her age, right? But I asked him his age and he told me, and I was like, what the heck? When you look at someone who is full of life, who is full of, who has a positive outlook, and there's just that there's a vibrance, there's gratitude, there's positivity, there's looking forward to the next, what's to come, and you can see it on people's face. It's like a current, it's like a sheen that shines. It is life itself. It's ever new, ever peaceful and blissful. It's beautiful to see that, Robert, in your life.
Thanks, Chris. I appreciate that.
And that's really, I mean, yeah, I wanted to hear about the near death experience. I'm fascinated in those things because I think a lot of people are really afraid of dying, and I wanted people to hear about that. But the one thing that really attracted me to you as far as, wanting to do this interview and keeping in touch was just that feeling I got when I was around you. It was so upbeat and so positive. And if gratitude and positivity were a frequency, which I kind of think they are, they lift people up. That's why your family members call you. They're tuned into a lower frequency and they want to be lifted up. And they know if they talk to you, they can tune in to that sort of heavenly frequency, for lack of a better term. I mean, that's what they want.
Yeah. And that frequency of 528 hertz, by the way.
What is it? What is that? Is that?
That's the universal frequency. That's what travels through the universe. 528 hertz.
Okay, because the Earth, what's the hertz for the Earth itself? Is that like
I don't
seven?
know.
I think it's like 7. See, because I got this special mat it's like a biomat, and it has the pulse magnetics on there, and you can actually set the hertz on it, and it's kind of neat because you can treat different physical things or whatever with the different
Yes, sir.
with the different vibrations. But so that's fascinating. Yeah, I was really interested to, I haven't really been a big science buff all my life, but as I started to look, I start reading some quotes from Einstein and whatnot, and I started to consider, man, he discovered some things, a pretty long time ago that were really amazing. Like, that all matter is really, it's either a wave of energy or it's a particle, in the subatomic or in the quantum world. And I was fascinated to find out that all matter is pretty much, for the most part, energy, and all energy is moving and sort of humming and vibrating. And I thought, that is so fascinating. Like you were just talking about the resonance of the universe.
Yeah. And when I do my massage therapy, I sometimes I discovered this when my son was small. We would hum together with our foreheads touching, and it's an E flat, and that tone is so soothing and so relaxing. I do it with some of my clients, and they go, "What are you doing?" I said, "Just I love you. Shut up. Just put your forehead next to mine,
Yeah.
and match my tone."
Yeah.
And then after about a minute and a half or two, they go, "Wow, that feels." I said, "Because you're changing the vibration of your brain function."
That is
And,
that.
it's a little thing, but it goes a long way.
It does. Have you ever
does
seen
help.
one of those singing bowls, Robert? They're they're like the metal bowls that you rub the wand on and it kind of vibrates.
Yes, sir.
I saw a video on Instagram about a year ago, and there was a singing bowl that had water in it. And I think there were some flowers on top or something like that. But anyways, the guy started to sort of move the wand around the edges, and the hum and the vibration started. And the most amazing thing happened. All the water inside of that singing bowl started to form these kind of like patterns, and it was like organized. It wasn't just random. It wasn't just like, chaos at the sea, after a storm.
That's cool.
It was
Very cool.
It was like this, there's all these patterns in life, like the golden ratio and all these things. And it's amazing to me when you're talking about that, because I've done music in my life too. And I've played music live and had friends over, and sometimes we'll have dinner and we'll just, sing some songs afterwards. And what I found is there's a difference between just listening to music through your stereo or in your car to being around an instrument that's being played. And I think I'm going back to the touching the forehead and the humming thing, because when you hear someone strumming their strings in person and you hear that music going out, instead of it just coming across, sort of a speaker, an amplifier, you're actually feeling the different, those different tones. They're resonating, at different frequencies, and they're actually going into your body. And just like that singing bowl changed, we're made up of 70-some% water. It's amazing to me. I mean, music is good for the soul.
Yeah. Tell you what, I mean, when I doing my working with clients, I often times remind them to hydrate, because that hydration helps all your body functions. Number one, it helps your heart a lot. It's like, and if you're dehydrated, it's like running your car with no oil in it or low on oil. It gets hot and friction. Now you get cramps and stuff like that. Same thing with your brain, because your brain function is number one, paramount. And you want to hydrate your brain. And that's why people get hangovers, because they're dehydrated.
Right.
Yeah, just simple stuff.
I noticed how
So,
you're a nutritionist, or you're into like wellness and nutrition and stuff like that, right?
well, my certification is a holistic health practitioner.
Okay.
It's actually a clinical 1,000-hour program for massage therapy. But over the years, when I was working at ABC, I spent about a year at the desk. I wasn't doing any exercise workout on the floor. People would call up and ask me questions, and if I didn't have the right answer, at the end I'd say, I don't know, but I'll get back to you. So I had great resources, and I learned a lot during that process, because you can't BS the public when you're out in front of it.
Yeah. I mean,
If
you
don't know
can,
it,
but you get
know
caught.
it. Well, I'm not going to, because it's
Yeah.
like, hey, that's me out there, man. All I have is my integrity and my principles.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of resources for nutrition, science, exercise physiology, all that fun stuff. So yeah.
Let me ask you this, because, my days of drinking are over. I realized when you mentioned hangovers and dehydration, yeah, my days of drinking are over. But here's the interesting thing. I noticed that if I ate bad, I'd wake up the next day and have like this thing. I just started realizing they have these things called food hangovers.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, the average American diet from a few years ago, the average American diet had 10 times the amount of sodium necessary for your body.
Wow.
I don't put salt on anything except maybe my popcorn, nothing.
Yeah.
But, I do a really good job I have a bucket of salad every day, very complex salads every single day.
You eat the rainbow?
I eat the rainbow, brother. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
that's good.
left to right. And it's fun, it's really great to encourage people to help themselves, because, like we've said, if you're not helping other people, then what are you doing here?
Exactly.
If you're just in it for yourself, what are you doing? Just get out of the way. Go over there somewhere, not here.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally, yeah, I love that. I'll, being that you're a Christian, I'm going to quote one of my favorite Jesus sayings, where he said, in that last day, there was a certain group of people, and he said, when I was hungry, you fed me. When I was sick, you came and attended to me. When I was in the prison, you visited me. And these people were like, hey, we're not really religious. When did we ever help you? And he goes, whenever you did it to these people, you did it to me. And I love that, because if there's any one thing you get from, these kind of teachings, I think it's what you're talking about. It's like, if you don't want to like get in and play ball and love people and do something positive, then man, it's like you're on the sidelines. Just
take a hike.
Go to the locker room. Take a cold shower, dude. Come on.
Wake up to reality here, because we're in this together.
Yeah.
We really are in this together. And we are the human race. Yeah.
And I love what you said earlier was, it's good for you. If you can help other people, it's good for you.
Oh.
It just makes life that much better.
I just honestly, Chris, I don't stress. I might stress for like a minute or two.
Yeah.
I haven't had a bad day in 16 years, more or less. My brother passed away. That was tough.
Yeah.
We were like a year apart. That was really tough.
Yeah.
But you know what? If you wake up in the morning and you're pretty doggone healthy, you need to say thank you. Thank you to the man above. And I'm not religious, but I'm Christian. Very different. And I'm blessed.
Yeah.
And I always try to bring people to the right side of the street,
You're living the dream, dude.
Doing the right things.
That's why I wanted to talk to you today. That's why I wanted to talk to you. I wanted to interview a person who is living the dream. You're not taking the victim, posturing. You're not, your life is not about all the bad things that have happened to you. You've taken charge of your life. You've created this beautiful environment where you do all the things that you love to do. And so they're not a chore, they're a joy.
Yeah.
And you're helping other people. Man, see, this is why I wanted to get Robert on here today. I wanted to lure people in with a near-death experience, but I wanted people to kind of get into this frequency that hey, this is life, and we're here, and let's do this while we're here. Let's live it while we're here. I mean, that's why I'm doing this podcast.
Yeah. And I encourage anybody to reach out to me if they want to just chat for a little bit, get a little inspiration.
How can they do that, Robert?
Well, I don't know. They can call me up. Yeah, I don't mind giving out my phone number, Chris, because you know what? When I'm driving on the freeway and it's a crowded freeway, I'm just going down that road with my brothers and sisters on the same road.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'll tell you what, this will be the safest thing. What I will do is when we're done with this podcast, we will chat briefly and I'll put it in the description section down below. I'll put some information where people can link to you on social media or whatever.
Yeah.
And find out more about, whatever it is, whether they want to know what makes you tick or whether they want to find out about, some of the things you've talked about and whatnot. And so I'll leave a link down there so they can get in touch with you.
That'd be great. That'd be great. Yeah.
Man, this has been great. Robert, thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, look for my next big thing. I've been writing a musical for quite a while. It's called Massage the Musical: A Touching Story.
Okay. And how?
It's literally about my life as a neuromuscular therapist. I figure I've done about 119 million massage strokes. Figure that one out.
Wow.
I mean, and hopefully every single one counted. And it's fun, incorporate all my talents and put those out there. And I don't know, it's gonna be a book or might be on stage. I don't know, but something's gonna be fun because I'm just getting started, man.
Yeah, you are.
Lots to do.
Hey, thanks for sharing with us today. This has been awesome.
Thanks for asking me to come on here and be with you and share this with people. Again, because I'm here to serve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm encouraged. I'm just excited.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate that.
Okay. You take care.
You too.
Okay. All right. That's it. I'm Chris Anthony. This is Streams of Light.